Hey, everybody, welcome back to our final episode of the Hot Rod BBQ for 2023. With me today is Ryan Douthit of Driving Sports TV. Ryan is our producer, and he shoots a lot of our stuff that you see on the Hemmings YouTube channel. Dude, man, this has been one hell of a year.
Can you believe it's almost 2024 already?
No.
I mean, what happened to this decade, right?
Dude, I am at the point, I look back on the amount of stuff that we did this year, and Ryan and I are going to talk about that. But man, we've been busy.
Yeah.
We have been busy.
I've been spending the last 2 weeks reintroducing myself to my family. They're like, "Father, is that you?" Yes, child, it is me, your father.
Well, there have been so many changes. I mean, since I came on to Hemmings going on 4 years ago, this company has changed in so many different. It's been almost 4 years since I came on, right? We went from not really having a YouTube channel to having a YouTube channel with some killer freaking content. We've got, this year alone, we filmed Tested, we filmed Fox Body Rehab, we filmed, the Hornet. My God, we did the Hornet project too, and it's like it's kind of a nonstop thing. We also introduced Hemmings Garage, and we have for 2024 coming out. We've got 6 new shows coming out that are going to be crazy. Tested is coming back. We've got On Ramp. We've got My First Classic. We've got One Perfect. There's a lot of new content that you guys are going to see, so get ready for that. But for this, we kind of wanted to go back and just kind of look at almost like a year in a view.
Yeah,
a little bit.
I mean, what better thing to do when you're getting ready to go into the new year? And I do want to kind of like caveat that when I bring my hands up, they look super yellow, and it's because I've been using leather gloves to build new off-road courses. So I've been out in the woods, and so my hands, I'm not like ailing
jaundice.
Yeah, I don't have jaundice. I don't need to go suck a lemon or whatever it is that you do for that. But no, this is just the stain from the gloves won't come off. But
yeah,
I tell you, you're taking out stickers. You're wearing gloves. Even if it will.
Oh yeah,
it's like Pacific Northwest problems.
Yeah, but it's crazy though. I mean, listen, your off-road course, you did that. Now you've expanded it even more to do more stuff on driving.
That's the new thing for 2024.
That's the new thing for 2024.
I'm building a new course.
Yeah. So it's like everybody, and this is a great thing. Everything is expanding. Oh, the other part is, if you guys haven't noticed, go to the Hemmings website and look at the rebrand. We launched a brand new logo. We have brand new graphics. We have brand new apparel. We're crushing it. This company is just bounding, and it's been so much fun.
There's been so much that's happened this year. It's almost hard to say, like, to talk about what specific, to narrow it down to topics to discuss. Because I mean, shows, rebrand, stuff you've been doing, I've been doing. I mean, it's just like, and I do feel like I've been seeing you more than I've been seeing my family this year. So
you have been.
I kind of have.
There's no question. I feel bad. Like, listen, your wife's going to call me every now and then and just be like, "Where's my husband?" Like, don't worry about it. I'll have him home by 7 on Thursday. So,
dude, something goes wrong and the test vehicle blows up, in which case it might be Friday.
It might be a couple of days. Yeah. All right. So let's talk about some vehicles that we saw in 2024 or 2023, right? Yep. So stuff that made an impact, maybe a couple of things that are dead, stuff that's going away, and new stuff that's coming out. Like, give me something that you were like, holy shit, that actually happened.
Well, the biggest holy what the hell is when Toyota relaunched the Land Cruiser in the US. We can't get them yet, but they're going to come out next spring. And they were smart. They didn't the old Land Cruiser was a full-size off-road SUV, and it cost $90,000 plus in the US. And it's like, we sold very few of them. It's like, because not a lot of people have 90 grand to drop on a 15.
No, and they were old. It was an old platform. It was old. How old was that platform?
Old. The rest of the world had already moved on from it. It was so old. But they announced a new one. It's very modern, has new tech, and it's smaller. Which is actually good. I mean, I am shocked. I'm like, I want one. I'm hoping to be able to get one, and I think that would be amazing. And they're supposed to actually be done in the spring. And then they followed that up. Another Toyota thing. They followed up with a new Tacoma. Tacoma, and they are still keeping a 6-speed manual transmission in it, which is like,
dude, Toyota gets it.
They do.
If there's a company that's listening to their core audience, it is Toyota. They understand that people still want the ruggedness, they still want the looks, but they still want to have a little bit of fun, right? So they've got the manual in there. With the Land Cruiser, big and huge is taking a turn. And I think what they've managed to do is they've managed to incorporate a lot of efficient design elements into the new Land Cruiser.
Yeah, they
But
have a
it's
lot of the
still,
classic round headlight you can go with,
yep,
and but it's undeniably modern.
it is. But it's still. But here's the thing: it looks to be, and again, I saw it in person at SEMA, but I haven't been
Yeah,
inside it. I don't think
yeah.
you have,
I've sat
right?
in it.
Just
I've
you
sat in it.
sat in it,
I haven't driven
but
it yet.
nobody's driven it yet.
Nope.
But if and it's a hybrid, which I like, right?
Yep.
You're still gonna
It's
get
a
some mileage out of
four-cylinder
it.
turbo hybrid, so it's not
Hmm.
as powerful as like the Sequoia, but it's not as big as the Sequoia either. And it
Exactly.
still has a 6,000-pound towing capacity, so that's good. So
Usable,
for people
completely
like
usable.
myself who are used to having a truck, I can get away with not having a truck if I have a trailer, and so that's at least heavy enough that I can trailer stuff, be it
Right.
cargo, other vehicles, that kind of stuff.
Right.
6,000 pounds is just barely enough, but more than most people will probably use with a Land Cruiser. To be honest, most people are going to
Oh.
run to Whole Foods and
That's yeah, but I mean,
it's
I
fine.
like the idea that it's even the base model will tow 6,000 pounds.
Yeah, they've really they've really packaged it nicely. And then of course the Lexus GX, that's not a big surprise, but it's the Lexus version of the new Land
Hmm.
Cruiser essentially, and I get to
Yep.
drive that. I'm actually driving that in January, so
Nice.
I don't remember where, but I'm going to be driving it. And so that'll be the first taste. Basically, it's the new Land Cruiser, but with a different face and with leather interior, kind of higher end appointments. So
Yep.
I'll actually be driving the nicer one before I drive the mainstream one. But what I want one of those first edition Land Cruisers. That's the
Hmm.
very first ones that's going to come off the production line, and it's going to be loaded with all the options. And it has the retro style headlights.
It does.
So that's
It's cool.
cool.
Yeah. All right. Now let's talk about the bomb that dropped the last couple of weeks, the Cybertruck. Did you ever
Oh my
think that
God.
that thing was going to be built?
I mean, but has it really been built? 10 units is hardly a production run. Like, there's some shed builders that build more cars than Cybertrucks that are on the road. But I will give them credit. It is officially into production. But the most crazy thing is all this stuff. It has a lot of cool tech. I'm going to preface that and say there's a lot of cool stuff in the Cybertruck because they didn't just build it on a Model X chassis.
Right.
They actually redid a whole bunch of stuff.
It's new.
That's cool. However, all the fanboys kind of ruin everything. They're like 48 volt, nobody's done that. Steer by wire, nobody's done that. Four-wheel steering, my mind is blown. And it's like, no.
It was done 25 years ago, guys.
Honda did it, 25. Infinity did it. And
yeah.
It's like,
stop.
They're new to cars, clearly. I mean, it's like
four-wheel steering. I had a Prelude that had that 25
I know, it's like,
years
hi,
ago.
welcome to 2024. You must be new here. Say hi to the neighborhood. Let's learn about cars.
right.
But I do like the fact that people are excited, and that's what this industry needs every once in a while is something.
Agreed.
Not just something that people love, but that gets people excited in a good way and maybe even a bad way. It's like, okay, if you don't like this thing, then what do you like? Are you drawn to the new Ranger Raptor that's coming out instead? It's about the same size and it's the exact opposite.
Right.
No hybrid.
Well,
no
you're still getting
steering.
Well, that's just it. You're still getting, these analog vehicles that are still, yes, they have tech in them, but to the extreme where the Cybertruck is obviously to the super, super extreme, things like the Ranger Raptor are still just like all piss and vinegar, which I like.
I think 2024 is going to be, I think we're going to look back to 2023, 24, 25 as the era where you could buy anything. Without a hybrid, you can buy that. If you want an all electric, you can buy that. If you want a hybrid in between with an automatic, you can buy that. But moving forward, things are going electric. Like in 10 years, everything will be hybrid at some level,
at least,
if not electric. And it just makes sense, move that power generation away from the vehicle, put it into where hydro or geo or whatever. There's all the other ways you can make power.
Land Cruiser is a perfect example. I love the fact that Toyota is making the Land Cruiser. You could only get it in a hybrid. And I love that because here's the thing. If anybody's listen, Toyota is the king of hybrids. They've been doing it the longest. They've been doing it.
Yeah.
They're good at it.
Yeah. And they also know who is buying the Land Cruiser. They know that people who are buying that, You want better MPGs than what the other guy's getting, which hopefully you get those. I don't know. We won't until we get production vehicles. But also they're not going to compromise the off-road capability of it. They're not going to go to an electric assist rear drive like you do on, like, I'll just use another Toyota product as an example. Toyota, with the Highlander, the all-wheel drive system, it's electric only. There's no drive shaft to the rear wheels. It's just an electric motor. They didn't do that with the Land Cruiser because clearly that's not the audience. And that's one thing I like about their strategy here, is that even though they're very similar, they're not the same. So that's pretty cool. I think that they're doing a good job. But this time right now, if there's something you want, now is the time to buy it. If you're like, I want a stick, well, you better go vote with your dollars to Toyota, because
that's right.
If anybody buys the stick, they're going away, and you won't be able to buy
man.
it except used, and it's going to cost 10 grand over what you would have bought it new.
Well, dude, that's what when you talk about welcome to 2024, that's what people have to understand. I mean, there are still a lot of people out there that know how to drive stick, and it's almost like a novelty now, where they're like, I can drive a manual transmission. It's like, man, I learned how to drive manual transmission when I was 13. Shut up.
I drove a manual Tacoma in my video review for Driving Sports TV. I did that with I did the manual and I did the automatic front to back to kind of see what the differences were. And it's funny, in the video I commented how a lot of journalists that I meet can't drive a stick anymore.
And
honestly,
they can't.
I don't give them crap for it, because like 99.9% of all the cars we drive are automatics.
Sure. And there's not a lot out there in a manual anymore.
Yeah, I mean,
so those opportunities are kind of going down.
Cars, Corolla GR, obviously Miata, things like that. But that's such a small market. It's like, if you're really a journalist, you kind of just have to worry about, Camrys. You got to worry about mainstream stuff. If you're a mainstream reporter, if you're an enthusiast reporter, obviously you have to learn it. But I was at my neighbor's house 2 days ago, and I went to go see my son. My son has a friend that lives there. And my son was standing there in their driveway, and I'm like, where's your buddy who lives here? You're just standing here. Where's your buddy? He's like, that car that just drove past you, he's driving it right now. It's an old diesel Volkswagen Jetta. And
nice.
The kid is 12 or 13. No, 13. He's now 13. But they were shuffling cars with dad. And the dad just threw his 13-year-old kid, the keys, and drove his Jetta down the street so they could swap vehicles in the driveway.
That's great.
It's like, 13-year-old, pretty awesome.
That's good. I like that. I absolutely like that.
And it's nice that the Jetta actually is a pretty easy it's a pretty easy to drive. Yeah.
But that's good. I like the fact that the kids are
so there are some kids out there that are still learning it, but will they favor it? I mean, who knows? I know. Eventually it won't matter. Like with electric cars, I know not
gonna matter.
There's a couple of manufacturers that are working on a stick to give that feeling, but
dude, there's still nothing. There's still nothing like real linkage, a real cable clutch, stuff that is really kind of mechanical. And we love that stuff and we enjoy it. But listen, I'll be the first to admit, I've thought about buying another manual car, and I'm like, you know what? I don't really wanna.
You live in the Bay Area, man. Sitting in traffic,
you can't do it. Like the 911's a manual, and that it has to be like that because it's an enthusiast car.
Yep.
But everything else, I'm like, no. I just want to put it in drive and go. So,
to put this subject behind us a little bit, great that you have options today.
I do.
I'll be going away, so everybody needs to go out there and
get on the bandwagon now if you want them, folks, because it ain't going to be here much longer. That's true.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's talk about the absolute, man, this is a tough one for me. The death of the muscle car, or we're really getting close to it. So as everybody knows, I'm going to say this. I'm not going to say the death of the muscle car. I'm going to say the hiatus. That's a good word. The hiatus of the combustion muscle car.
The death of the muscle car as we know it.
Yeah. So, the King, obviously, 2023 Demon 170, over 1,000 horsepower, the swan song of that platform that has been around since, well, a long time, in 2008.
How many administrations ago?
But for a car that is literally just hitting its owners now, right? For a car that is owners right now have received these cars. They're taking them to the track. They're running low nines. They're running like 9.1. The
Don't you
thing's
need a
got a
cage at that
parachute if
point?
you want it.
NHRA track? Don't they require a cage at that?
I think they do some kind of roll bar or something like that. But the
Mhm.
fact that a manufacturer came out, and I never thought I'd see this in my lifetime, and they're like, you know what? Because the car's so fast, we're going to offer you a parachute. I love that. I think that's the best thing. It's such a Dodge thing to do, to just be like, to just one last big middle finger to
Yeah.
everybody and be like, you guys could build your Cybertrucks and you guys could build your Lucids and you could build all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to build 1,000+ horsepower. We're going to give it a parachute. Now, I'll caveat by saying, y'all know that the next Charger that comes out is going to be EV, right? There are
Yep.
rumors that it's also going to be ICE, but we'll wait until that's confirmed. That's neither here nor there yet. What I can tell you is this. When those cars come out, if I know the guys at Dodge, and I know them pretty well, they can't release anything that's not going to be batshit crazy. So I can't say it's going to be the death of the muscle car. What I'm going to say is the Demon 170 is the last of quote unquote its time or its kind until it's redefined.
You're
And
doing a lot of tap dancing there, Mike.
I am tapping, but I think it is going to be redefined. And I'm very listen. I'm going to have both. I don't give a shit. I'll have the old Demon, and I will love it till the day that I die. I'll have my big block Charger, and I'll love it till the day that I die. But I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what's next in the world of muscle cars and how they adapt electricity. Because if it doesn't have the theater, it doesn't have the bravado, it doesn't have that carnival ride to it.
Hopefully the carnival ride doesn't mean blaring fake engine sounds over a speaker mounted in the
Nah, dude, we both know it's got to be more than that. You better be able to rip the back tires off this thing, disable every type of nanny.
So I was just thinking about that, like with Tesla, when they did the Cybertruck announcement, they did a drag race against a 911, which who buys a 911 to go drag racing, especially a base trim? But anyway.
Yeah, let me tell you what is not the purpose of a 911.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, a 911. Interesting choice. But I wonder how the Cybertruck would do against the new Demon.
The new Demon's faster.
Yeah.
There's no question the new Demon's faster. But I mean, I think that the biggest thing is it's how you want to go fast. And this is the Miata argument too, right? Like the Miata is not a fast car, but man, if you know how to drive it, you can wheel that sucker. Man,
but it is
right?
Good.
So good. And
I keep tell myself not to buy another one because I buy them and then I drive them and I love it. And then it sits for like 3 months because it's like, I live in the Pacific Northwest. It's like pouring rain half the time. Yeah.
Well, it's like you need to be able to rent them. Like rent a Miata for a week, 1 week every year.
Timeshare a Miata. That would be great.
Timeshare a Miata. Get it out of your system for that 1 week a year and be like, okay, I'm good now.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
So I agree. I think that's really kind of the way to do it.
Or if you're a journalist, you check it out from Fleet once a year and
just do that
on it.
Yeah, exactly. Just there are loopholes, folks. There are loopholes.
What do I want to do with Miata this week?
But again, we talk about the muscle car. We know the Camaro is going away in January of 2024.
Yeah, Camaro. I mean, no
Charger,
Camaro, Challenger. No, I mean, Charger.
Mustang's still there.
Mustang will last. They're just going to transition that one to electric probably at some point. And they like the brand will never go, and they'll do it without a hiccup. They'll announce it. It'll be the next year. It won't be available, and it won't be available the next year. But then it'll come out after that.
It'll come back.
Announcement wise, I think it's going to be a smooth transition.
Yeah. Well, there's too much for them. It will never go away. I mean, there's too much equity in that name.
Yep.
For it to go away. Right. Yep. And I think it's interesting how they positioned it where, when they came out with the Mach-E, they called it a Mustang just to kind of segue, but they didn't stop offering the ICE car. Right. Yep. It's still there.
I believe the Mach-E was originally developed to be like a Focus electric, and then they decided that they wanted to go all in with it, and so they ended up changing it to the Mustang name to add more cachet. But also had to like redesign stuff on it. It's kind of like
here's the other part.
It's
fine because the fact of the matter is it's really good. Like the Mach-E is really good. I do too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I have no problem with people.
Ford is doing a great job with the electric cars if they can just get them produced, and that seems to be the issue everybody's having.
Yes.
Like GM's Ultium platform. It's great. It's what's underpinning like the Hummer H1T and all that stuff. every other, all the new, what is it? The new Chevy truck, EV,
Yeah, Silverado. Yep.
They're going to be transitioning Bolt to Ultium, but their yield on those power systems is just abysmal. It's like, how hard is it, guys? And Tesla was smart in that this is one thing I have to give credit to Tesla for, is that they, stem to stern, it's almost all built in-house. They built their own batteries, their own cells. So they already have a decade of, I think a decade of building.
They got a decade of lead time. Yeah.
Where GM is like, we're relying on partners and we have this, and then we're developing our own, but we haven't done this before. And it's like, they're trying to ramp up so fast, and they're announcing products well before they can actually produce them in volume. And it's just, oftentimes I kind of wonder, like, is GM just going to throw their arms up and say, you know what, we're a military contractor now, we're not building for anybody? Because
also that, you know, that's an interesting
volume,
question, right? Well, that's an interesting question though, when we talk about the EV space and stuff like that. You know, I think there's a lot of people that think that, you know, in 10 years, everything's going to be an EV. And I agree with and I don't agree with that. I agree with what you said earlier, which is everything in 10 years, every new car will have some type of hybrid power plant.
The Toyota term is electrified. Everything's
electrified. Yes, it is electrified.
But the fact is, like, most BMWs have a mild hybrid system, even if you're not buying a hybrid BMW. It's like a KERS system, kind of basically gives you that little bit of oomph on the start, which is good because that's where gas motors use most of their fuel, is on the acceleration. So if you can transition over to battery, it's huge. And I like kind of the BMW strategy, because they don't do these massive batteries. They were basically using it for your first punch. And so you have lightweight small systems that work pretty good and just take an edge off the MPGs. But we'll see a lot more of that, I think, going forward, and less of the like EQS for Mercedes.
Yeah, no, get rid of that.
We're going to redesign it. It's going to look like a jelly bean. And that jelly bean is going to have 50 screens because you need your eyeballs assaulted on all angles in the middle. Like, no, nobody wants that.
Stop making turtles. Nobody cares.
I know, no turtles, please.
No turtles. Stop.
You know, you gotta. I mean, sometimes you look at these things, you're like, am I just getting old? But then you read, like, nobody likes it. It's like, oh, okay. It's not just me.
But that's the manual argument too, right? Like we all talk about, you know, like it's really interesting, and like you know, like all the garbage that I have. It's like I still like my Bronco that I drive every day. The more I drive it, and I've gotten really akin to driving it more and more now. I adore the simplicity of that stupid lump of a machine. And it's just, I just do. You know, it's so easy. Yes, it's completely 1000% inefficient, but my God, is it easy? And my God, does it do what it does in a very easy, simplistic way that you don't have to worry
just
about.
Keep shoveling, just keep pumping that dinosaur fuel in.
Shoveling coal in, and it'll run forever, you know? But I do enjoy that. And in fact, you know, what was and I know we're not getting it here in the States, but didn't Toyota release a new version of like the FJ40 or whatever it was called that's in Europe that is it's like a farmer's tractor?
Oh, that's actually the Land Cruiser 70.
The Land Cruiser 70.
Yeah, it's a truck version of the Land Cruiser, or you can buy it in a bunch of different configurations. It's available in Australia primarily, is what.
Like, I think that would sell here.
I think so too, and it's simple. Like, everything is simple. It's like they've redone the outer skin a little bit, but it's basically a 50-year-old car that you can still buy brand new. It's kind of like the way the Volkswagen Bug was, you know, like 20 years after it was gone from the US, they were still making them down in Mexico.
Yeah, and they would. They're
indestructible. You know, you need a simple car that's indestructible, rear motor. It's great. You hit water, just skip over the water.
So here's a question for you. What do you think going into 2024, what do you think the lifespan of a car built in 2024 is? Is it 20 years? Is it 50 years? Is it 10 years?
Oh, no, I think it's 10 to 15, probably.
10 to 15. Is that due to technology that's in it, or what?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's because the failures are going to be more as they're reducing parts to try to like simplify and to bring stuff together a little bit more. So you have a lot more pieces that are more reliant on other pieces. So like So we have this old Mazda 3 that we bought in 2004. I think it was the first Mazda that had like a variable steering rack, which is cool. But it was a standard gas motor. My daughter is now learning to drive in it. And it will probably run for another 20, 30 years. But it was kind of at the end of, like, fuel injection was figured out by 2004, so it's not weird. Whereas if you bought like a late 80s fuel injection, good luck with that.
Garbage.
Absolute trash. So everything was figured out, yet it's simple. It's a 4-speed automatic. It has a 2-liter motor, no direct injection.
Yeah.
So it's just that thing will run forever. But like, a lot of things that we're seeing is like, a lot of it is anecdotal, the issues that I see, because since I produce a lot of videos and people comment on my videos, I hear a lot. I get an earful, basically. It's like, well, yeah, that's fine, but after whatever, because of the fuel injection, you're going to get carbon buildup and all this. Okay, so a lot of this chase for better emissions and this, like urea for the diesels is a good example of overcomplicating something because you're trying to hit an emission target. And there's so much more of that. Like in these hybrid systems, Toyotas are typically bulletproof. However, you still have a battery, another component, all these electric motors, 3 or 4 electric motors. It's just things are becoming more complex in their attempt to solve problems. And I think the biggest concern I actually have are digital screens for the gauge cluster, and for the main display, and integrating everything in with those. I can just see in 10 years there's just going to be an issue, but that's okay. I mostly buy new cars. I know you don't, but I'm a big fan of. I'm not going to keep a car for 10 years, but I think the value of those cars is the biggest problem that we'll actually probably have. And I think this is a real class structure issue, is that let's fast forward to 20, 30 years from now. You're going to end up with people that can afford newer cars, newer cars, but the cars that usually find their way down to the poorest of us, where they can buy a Camry that's like from the 1990s, kick it a few times with a sledgehammer, you'll get them to their job. Those are going to go away, and unfortunately, it's going to be ride share. I mean,
you're going to have, I think owning a car in the future, in that 20, 30 years, or probably 30 years, that's going to be a real luxury, because if prices, car prices right now are almost unattainable to most people. When you think the average price is $45,000 for a new car, that's absurd. I mean,
it's funny because in my videos I say, oh, it's $40,000 for a fully loaded whatever, and that's pretty affordable. And people are like, that's not affordable. And I have to be like, that is below the average transaction price.
Sure, in 2023. But I mean, even the price of used cars now. Like used cars, you used to be able to pick up a good used car. And this is, listen, in the beginning of COVID, we're only talking 3 years ago. Right? I was buying cars for $5,000 and flipping them for 10 to 15.
And they were good cars too.
And they were good cars.
Not garbage, right?
No. Now
$4,000?
You're not buying anything for $4,000. You're not buying anything for $5,000. I mean, maybe if you get somebody who's got something that's been in a garage, an elderly person, and you stumble upon their Buick LeSabre from '97, you'll get it for $2,500. But
you're driving a LeSabre.
But then you're driving a LeSabre. But the fact of the matter is, used cars now are, man, we're getting to a point where newer cars in 20 years, are you going to be able to get a screen for it? And then how do you install that screen? And then if that screen is connected to everything, you're just done. And they're going to be so expensive to fix. And the technology is going to be so advanced that, and it's going to develop so fast that you're not going to be able to fix it.
And it'll be interesting to see what happens to third world nations. Because like when I was in Kenya last year filming the Classic Safari Rally, I went through most of Kenya, and a lot of the vehicles that those people drive are cast-offs from other parts. Because Japan, they have the rule, like you can't have a car over 100,000 miles old. And so they ship them out of the country. Those end up very often in third world countries. So you end up with a lot of Japanese, like a lot of Toyotas, a lot of other cars too, a lot of Nissans, but they're all the Japanese versions of the cars. And I tell you, these guys, they're geniuses with dealing with cars that are simple. Everything can be fixed with a sledgehammer and a screwdriver. And I mean, I watched them. We actually had we hit a rock and totally destroyed one of our rims. And we were in a village in the middle of nowhere. And the fix was we pulled up to this shop. 5 guys came out, took the wheel off, started hitting it with a sledgehammer until it was round again, and put the wheel back on, and off we went. And I was like,
yeah.
In the States, we would have been standing on the side of the road going, well, that's our day.
Right. That's exactly right. Well, it's necessity, right?
But like all these high-tech cars, like again, 30, 40 years from now, what cars are these people going to be able to buy and maintain? I mean, are they still going to be are they going to be using up the tail ends of the life of a 1980s Celica, which has like been flipped through like 20 different people?
I mean, know.
It's interesting. The world will change, and I think in ways that people aren't expecting because of the cost and the stratification of who can afford a car and who can't. It's crazy. You know,
it's going to be interesting, dude. I look at it, and I always go back to, like, it was funny on my old Charger, the neutral safety switch went out, and the neutral safety switch is when you turn the key, and just nothing happens. It just goes, literally nothing happens, nothing. Yeah. So I called my buddy Sean. I'm like, dude, what the hell? He's like, oh, your safety switch went out. He goes, take a screwdriver, go under the hood. He goes, just put it here and here. He goes, jump the connection, it'll start right up. And I did. And I was like, perfect. Nice. You know what I mean? And it's like those little, life hacks, automotive hacks will go away.
Yeah.
And it's something where, I don't know, man. I wonder about it. Part of me is like, you know what? Just go out and buy the current generation 4Runner that gets 15 miles to the gallon, because the electronics are such that in 25, 30 years, it'll still run fine.
Yep.
It'll
and that
still
comes
be
back
analog.
To that whole thing of like, around that transition, you can still buy a brand new 4Runner that will last for 40 to 50 years.
I know.
Buy that, drive it until you die. And
yeah, dude, it's a hard one. Right? It's a hard one, man. It really is. It definitely makes me think. And I mean, I don't know. We'll see. So do you have anything that you're looking forward to going into 2024, or anything that you think is...
Well, the Ranger Raptor that I ordered for 2023 and I was hoping to buy this year won't be built until January, so I'm hoping I can still buy that. But
will that be a 24 model then?
It was going to be a 24 model in the first place. Just it was going to be built in October, because it was going to be one of the first ones built. But then all the Raptors got pushed because of lack of available parts. So because first it was a parts issue, and then it was the strike, which caused problems in the parts channel. So that's now pushed to January. So hopefully I get that. The biggest issue is I'm also trying to get a Land Cruiser, and can't afford to buy both at the same time. No. So I'm going to decide. I'm almost thinking about maybe just keeping my Ranger Tremor, because it's such a great little truck. And I'm like, it works as a work truck.
That's it.
I might just keep that and just get the Land Cruiser and have the best of both worlds, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what the world does. But that's kind of, I'm looking forward to doing some new shows with you. That'll be fun. I know there's one show in particular that's still cooking out there that's going to have us going all over the country. I always like that. That's always fun. Hanging out with you in deepest, darkest Alabama always is worth a few.
Best. That's always the best.
Some donuts over here. Okay.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Ryan and I have been working together for a long time now, and it's been great. We've produced killer content. 24s, we've got a bunch of stuff in the pike that's going to come out for Hemmings. Ryan's got a whole bunch of stuff coming out for Driving Sports TV that you guys are going to want to watch.
We're going to get that new off-road site done.
That's it. Off-road site's coming.
Body survives. I mean, I just had 10 tons of granite drop today, and now I got to move those all to.
And dude, you don't look a day over 52.
Thanks.
So it's like, it's I think 2024 is going to be a lot of fun. I know that, we've got a ton of new stuff coming from Hemmings. We've got, and like, Ryan, we sit here and we ideate over all these old cars that we love, and new cars and what's coming out. And I am going to reiterate this to people because, Hemmings has changed so much. And if you haven't checked us out, you have to go to the website. You have to look at the classifieds, because I guarantee whatever car you want is there.
Yep.
Another show that's coming back is Sports and Exotics with Jethro, which is such a fabulous title, which I love.
He does such a good job with those.
Watch him sling old Sports and Exotics around and just giggle and laugh.
I want his show.
I want his show. Like, You know, somebody's like, "Hey, I'm going to give you a
Oh.
Testarossa." He's like, "All right, cool." And then he goes back and goes down to Malibu and just canes the hell out of it, which is great.
Yeah, and meanwhile, somebody's throwing you the keys to the Catalina, and you're like, "It's an
Yeah.
easy car."
That's
Okay.
fine. It'll probably
Fine.
run.
It's fine. It's all good.
Probably run. But yeah, for 2024 Hemmings, we've definitely got some events and some things coming that you probably aren't expecting. And I think from a brand perspective, this is my favorite thing. 15 years ago, people looked at Hemmings and they were like, "This is my grandfather's magazine."
Yeah.
I think in 2024, people are going to look at Hemmings and go, "This is exactly where I need to be." And that is a very, very exciting thing to be a part of. Yeah. And so it's going to be cool. We've got some killer stuff coming. So, but on that, yeah, this is our last show of 2023.
Woo!
That's it. We made it. We did it again.
Time for vacay.
Yeah. Does that even exist? I haven't.
I don't know. I'm working solid through the end of the year. So
yeah, you and me both. But to everybody out there, listen, we want to really thank you for tuning into the Hot Rod BBQ podcast. We want to thank you for going to our YouTube channel and watching all the great productions that we're coming out with and that we've done in the past. Buying the magazines, keeping those alive is wonderful because they're not going anywhere. And like I said, hang out with us. Just don't change your focus, because I promise you Hemmings is just getting bigger and better. We're not going anywhere.
We got some great stuff coming. I'm really looking forward to getting those cameras rolling on the new things.
Oh, yeah. Cool. So that's it. Everybody, have a wonderful holiday season. Enjoy. Have the best of times with your friends and your family. And we will see you again early in 2024.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening, folks. And again, please subscribe to the Hot Rod BBQ podcast. If you're on Spotify, check us out there. Subscribe to it on iTunes. And if you are going to go to YouTube, make sure you go to the Hot Rod BBQ podcast and hit that subscribe button, and we'll come to you every week.